Good evening, dear women, Bezrat Hashem. I would like to bless all of us. שיתגלה משיח צדקנו במהרה בימינו, אמן. שיגיע מבשר אליהו, הנביא אליהו תשבי, אליהו גלעדי במהרה יבלנו משיח דוד אליהו נביא זכור לטוב. I would like to tell you that tonight we light a candle for Rabbi Yehuda Pinto, עליו השלום זכותו תגן עלינו. It's a big merit to light candles for righteous people. So tomorrow it is your tide, ט"ז באב, which is already the eve of Tetzayin B'Av, the 16th of Av, so you can light a candle tonight. I would like to remind you, dear women, that now we are after Tisha B'Av. We're going to speak about it in a few minutes. Look, this week's parasha is Parashat Ekev. And I would like to remind you that you can, if I remember right, in TorahAnytime.com, you can find over there a lesson about Parashat Ekev from the lessons that I already gave, and it's in the internet. I would like to speak today about the 15th of Av, Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av. It says in Masechet Ta'anit, it says, אמר רבן שמעון בן גמליאל, לא היו ימים טובים לישראל כ-15 באב וכיום הכיפורים, כ-15 באב. כ-15 באב, like the 15th of Av and Yom Kippurim, which means there were not such good days for the children of Israel like the 15th of Av and Yom Kippurim, which is very weird. How come Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, זכותו תגן עלינו, compares Yom Kippurim ל-15th of Av? באמת, how does he compare it to the 15th of Av? You see, of Chodesh Av and Yom Kippurim. You remember that on Yom Kippurim, after the children of Israel sinned with a golden calf, they made the calf and then they danced around it. And after they sinned, Moshe Rabbeinu went down from the mountain of Sinai, and he broke the tablets. Then he went up again to Mountain Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, and he received the second tablets. He came down and God forgave the children of Israel on Yom Kippurim. So the sin of the children of Israel of the golden calf of Chet HaEgel was forgiven on Yom Kippurim, which means there was peace between God and the children of Israel. Okay, the acts of Moshe Rabbeinu made peace between God and the children of Israel. So what happened on Tu B'Av? 6 things happened on this good day. Megalgelim zchut al yedei Yom Zakai. Megalgelim zchut, and I will explain it, al yedei Yom Zakai, which means you bring a merit up on a day that has a merit. What happened on the 15th of Av? כן. כמו חובה על ידי חייב, מגלגלים זכות על ידי יום זכאי. So what happened? You remember that the spies, dear women, that went into the land of Israel, and they came out and came back to the tribes. They told them in the desert that the land of Israel is good, but the people are strong, and we cannot conquer the land of Israel. So what happened is that God, because the children of Israel cried in vain, b'chiyat chinam, God forbid, punished all the children of Israel, that 40 years in the desert they are going to die. And how did they die? Every 9th of Av, every Tisha B'Av, all the men from the, not women, they did not sin the women, only the men, from the age of 20 to 60, they made a grave to themselves. They went into the grave at the night, at the eve of the 9th of Av. At night, dear women, their tongue, the ones that died, the tongue went out and became longer and was connected to the belly button, and worms came from the belly button into their mouth and ate them, and this is how they died. It's a weird death. Why? Because they slandered the land of Israel. Oh, you know, they slandered only trees and blocks and stones. What happens to a person who slanders a person, another person, lo aleinu? Look what happened to them over slandering trees and stones. So every year, after the second year when they went out of Egypt, 15,000 to 16,000 Jewish men died. In the morning there was a chazah, there was a voice that said, separate the living from the dead. The ones that were dead were in the grave. The ones that stayed alive went out of the grave and buried all the ones that were in, just covered them with sand. Every year until the 40th year. So what happened on the 40th year? It was 9th of Av. And the children of Israel were preparing a grave for themselves. The men went into the grave. The night came, the morning came, a voice said, separate between the dead and the living, and everybody went out. There was no dead. So they said, you know what? We are mistaken. It's not the 9th of Av. The date is mistaken. We did not count correctly. There's a mistake with the date. So the next day they went again at night into the graves, and again they were waiting to see what will happen. In the morning the voice said, separate the dead from the live, and everybody goes out. It continued until the 15th of Av. The 15th of Av, you know, the 15th, at the middle of the month, the moon is a circle. And then they saw it's the 15th of Av, means that this decree has finished. God had mercy upon us and we won't die. So this is what happened, that God forgave the children of Israel for the sin of the spies on the 15th of Av. And nobody else died anymore before they went into the land of Israel. So Kalu Metei Midbar, all of the death, all of the people that died from the desert, it was finished on the 15th of Av, which means there was peace between the children of Israel and God. And another thing, there was also peace between the children of Israel among themselves. What happened when the land of Israel was divided into tribes, dear women, it was divided into tribes. Every tribe received his own part in the land of Israel. The women were not allowed to get married in between tribes. היה אסור להתחתן בין השבטים. Why? Because if a woman inherited a piece of land, once she gets married, it becomes a husband. So if she was, for example, from the tribe of Judea, and she married someone from the tribe of Ephraim, this part of Judea will go to the tribe of Ephraim. So because of the children, the girls of Tzolfachad, there was a law that said that they cannot, the children of Israel, the girls of Israel cannot marry in between the tribes. But then at the 15th of Av, dear women, there was a decree that this applies only to the children, that this applies, this applies only, dear women, at the time that the land of Israel was conquered and the pieces of land were divided between the children of Israel. Only for that time. So on the 15th of Av, they were allowed to get married in between the tribes. There was another thing, it's called Pilegesh Bagivah. It's a mistress on the hill, it's called. It's in the tribe of Binyamin. There was a man that was a Levi that had a mistress. I'm telling you, it's shortly. You have a full lesson, Pilegesh Bagivah. This is how it's called, Pilegesh Bagivah. And on the site, TorahAnytime.com, that I gave the whole story over there. So just go over there into my name and you'll see the whole story about Pilegesh Bagivah and all the explanations. So he came to a city in the tribe of Benjamin, and over there, thank you. And over there, the people did not accept him in their homes. And at night, there were a few people, bad people, that came and knocked on the door, and they wanted to know the Levi. They wanted to sodomize the Levi. And the person that hosted them, he was an old person. He said, I have a virgin. My daughter is a virgin. I will take out my daughter. Just don't harm my guest. And instead of his daughter, the guest himself, the Levi, took his mistress and he gave her to the men outside. They did bad things to her, and in the morning she barely came to the door and she passed away with her hand on the door. So this Levi, there's a whole story, but I won't go into it because I gave you the story. Just go into the internet, you'll see the whole story. So he cut her body into 12 pieces, and then he sent it to the 12 tribes. And the 12 tribes came to fight the tribe of Benjamin. And when they came to fight, the first three battles that they had, they lost, and the tribe of Benjamin won. The fourth battle, they won, and there were only survivors, 600 men from the tribe of Benjamin. There were no survivors, no women, no children, only 600. They almost vanished, caused the tribe of Benjamin to vanish. Mamash kimat nikhad hashevet. And then the children of Israel, all the 11 tribes, were very sorry. They didn't want to kill the tribe of Benjamin. So they didn't know what to do because they made a neder. They promised that no one is allowed to give his daughters to marry the men from the tribe of Benjamin that were left. So they had to find a way to overcome this neder, this promise. So what they did, they looked at the promise that they said, and they decided that what they're going to do is that this applies only to this generation. The men that said that the fathers, it does not apply to their sons or to their daughters, just the ones who said that. And what happened is they also asked which city did not come to fight with the children of Israel, and there was Yavesh Gilad that did not come. So there was a cherem upon them, and they killed them, and they left 400 women that were virgins. Those women were given to 400 men for the tribe of Benjamin. There were 200 men of the tribe of Benjamin that did not have a wife, so they didn't know what to do. Then it says, dear women, I'll just bring them, Masechet Ta'anit. Then it says in Masechet Ta'anit, dear women, that on the 15th of Av, the girls of Israel were dancing. Oh, I forgot to bring my glasses. The girls of Israel were dancing in Shiloh in order to have a husband. We're going to dance too today. In order to have a husband. It was so simple. They were dressed with white clothing, and even the richest women over there borrowed white dress from someone else, so the poorest ones won't feel ashamed. So everybody was with white, and the women were dancing, and the men were taking themselves wives from the women that were dancing. So they gave an advice to the 200 men of Benjamin, of the tribe of Benjamin. They said, you hide behind the bushes while the women are dancing in Shiloh. Just take a wife for yourself. And that's what they did, except for one person. You know who he was? King Shaul. Shaul, that was supposed to be a king, he was very shy. He was afraid. So one of the women saw him, and she liked him. She ran after him. That's how he had a wife. Yeah, כן, זה כל כך פשוט. אני גם אמרתי את זה. It's so simple. We should practice this today. But this is in the times that tzniut was... there was modesty, נשים יקרות. It's, dear women. So, dear women, King Shaul, which was supposed to be king, he didn't know that he's going to be a king, but he was so shy, he was hiding, and he was afraid to go out to take a woman for a wife for himself. But she was the one who took him for her. Baruch Hashem. So it says, במסכת תענית, dear women, it says, Bnot Yisrael yotzot v'cholot bakramim, which means they are dancing in the kramim, in the vineyards, dear women. And it says, Yefeifiot, the beautiful ones, shebahen, that were among them, they would have said, Tnu enechem layofi, she'en ha'isha ela layofi. Put your eyes in the beauty of the woman, because there's no woman only for the beauty of her. And then it says the miyuchasot, the ones that came from a rich house, you know, and miyuchasot, and also from rabbis, daughters of rabbis, you know, very esteem, I think it's called, esteem women. So they say, מיוחסות שבהן מה היו אומרות? תנו עיניכם למשפחה. Look at the family, what kind of honorable family we have, לפי שאין האישה אלא לבנים. Which means when you take a woman with an honorable family, you get good sons. And then the ones that were not so pretty, מכוערות שבהם מה היו אומרות? קחו מכם לשם שמיים. Take For the sake of heaven, take us, they said. ובלבד שתעטרונו בזהובים, which means at least you'll put gold around us and, nice תכשיטים, jewelry around us, dear women. So this was very easy. Today it's so hard. It was so easy then. So this is how the tribe... כן, היום צריך את זה. היום צריך את זה. So this is what... In general, the whole story is in, you'll see it on the internet because it's an hour and a half of story. So the 200 dear women, men were married too, and this is how the tribe of Benjamin survived, mamash. Otherwise, it would have been extinct. What happened on Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av more? Dear women, ביטול הפרדסות של ירבעם בן נבט. You remember we had a lesson about Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, זכותו תגן עלינו, that we are studying Tomer Devorah. And over there, you remember that I told you, dear women, that Rabbi Moshe Cordovero has the ruach, part of the neshama, part of the spirit, which is called the ruach, of Zcharia. You remember? Ben Yoyada. And I told you that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai he was a reincarnation of Achia Shiloni. We spoke about it. Achia Shiloni was a prophet. This prophet was studying Torah with Yerovam ben Nevat. Yerovam ben Nevat was from the tribe of Ephraim. You know the sons of Yosef? From the tribe of Ephraim. And it says that Achia Shiloni gave a prophecy that the Malchut, the kingdom of King Solomon, will be split into two. Two tribes of Benjamin and Judea, which we are all those two tribes, and the Levites and Kohanim are among us because they were mefuzarim, spread out all over the tribes of Israel. So we have Levites among us, and the 10 tribes that the king of Ashur, Sancheriv, exiled them. And they're going to come back, Bezrat Hashem, when Messiah is here, Bezrat Hashem. So he prophesies that the kingdom will be split into two. One was ruled by Rechavam ben Shlomo, which was the son of King Solomon. The two tribes was ruled by him. And then Yerovam ben Nevat was ruling the 10 tribes. But he was afraid that all of the children of Israel, 3 times a year, they are supposed to go to Jerusalem, to the temple. Why? In order to give sacrifices to Hashem. You remember on Passover, Sukkot and Shavuot. You remember Shlosh HaRegalim. And he was afraid that when they go over there, they will see that the king that comes from King David is sitting over there and teaching Torah. And he's not from King David. He's not a descendant of King David. So he decided to stop them from going over there, and he put soldiers that won't let them go to Jerusalem. Instead, he put 2 statues of calf, one in Beth El and one in Dan, and he told them to go over there. And then started, the children of Israel, the 10 tribes, started to worship other gods. And on the 15th of Av, the king that was called Hoshea ben Elah, which was approximately the last king of the Israelites, he allowed all the children of Israel to go to Jerusalem, and he took all the soldiers away, and it happened on the 15th of Av. Then we can see also that on the 15th of Av, they stopped chopping the trees that are brought to the altar, because the trees that go to the altar are supposed to be very dry and without any humidity, because if you have humidity, there will be worms, and you cannot put it in the altar. It has to be dry. But on the 15th of Av, the strength of the sun becomes weaker, so the trees are more moisty. And because they are more moisty, the worms start to be inside them. So on the 15th of Av, they stopped bringing the trees of Etzer Ma'aracha. And usually the ones that stopped, they used to bring korban, a sacrifice to the temple, which is it's korban todah, it's a sacrifice of thank you. Korban etzim it is called, the sacrifice of trees, in order to notify and tell everybody that thank God that He gave us enough time to gather all of the trees that we need, and we can continue to worship and bring sacrifices to the temple. Another thing that happened, dear women, is you remember the city of Beitar. The city of Beitar, dear women, After the second temple was ruined, the city of Beitar couldn't be conquered. They could not conquer, the Romans, the city of Beitar. And for 52 years they couldn't conquer it. It's not 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 52 years. And you know why they couldn't conquer? Because the people that lived, the Jewish people in the city of Beitar, was so humble and they loved each other unconditionally, and they didn't have slandering. Lo היה לשון הרע שם. So in a place that people are united like one people, כאיש אחד בלב, with one heart, nothing bad can happen to them. So for 52 years they tried to conquer them, but they couldn't. In that city was Bar Kochva, which was called later Bar Koziva. And Rabbi Akiva thought he was Messiah. He thought he was Mashiach, Rabbi Akiva. And he called him Mashiach because Bar Kochva was so strong that when the Romans, took the thing that has wood and they put, stones on it and they threw it inside the city, Bar Kochva with his leg, he threw it back on them and he killed thousands of them. That's how he was strong. And he had strong soldiers. And he used to test the soldiers to see if they're strong, if they can cut with their mouth, their finger. And he had 200,000 soldiers that didn't have a finger because of that. And מה?
cut their own
כן, לבדוק את האומץ שלהם. So the wise people, the sages told him, why do you make the children of Israel miss a finger? Instead of that, make them another test. So he asked them, what shall I do? They said, put them on a horse and let them ride on the horse, and then with their hand, while they're riding, to take a tree from its roots out. It's not a simple thing to take a tree with its roots. So, dear women, he had another 2,000, 200, Ken. 200,000 men that took the trees out with. Think how strong were the children of Israel. It's not something easy. So, Andrianos, which was the general of Rome, he tried to conquer, he saw he couldn't, and he decided that he's leaving this city. But there was one of the people of the nations over there that was very envious of the children of Israel in the city of Beitar. And he said, listen, let me do something, and then you'll conquer the city. He said, you cannot conquer the city because of Rabbi Elazar HaMudai. There's a rabbi over there that is called Rabbi Elazar HaMudai. And he was fasting every day. He was in Ta'anit. You know, the Ta'anit is from morning till night, every day. And he asked God, please God, do not judge us today. Take all the judgments away from us. But he was so righteous that the judgments really went away from them. So this man slipped into the city, and he went, while Rabbi Elazar HaMudai was davening, was praying, he went and said something to him in his ear. Meanwhile, soldiers that saw this around, went to Bar Kochva, and they told him, there came a person who said something to Rabbi Elazar HaMudai in his ear. We do not know what he told him. So once he finished davening, he finished to pray, he called him Bar Kochva and he asked him, what did the Roman tell you? He said, listen, I don't even know what he told me. I was praying. I didn't hear him at all. So meanwhile, they caught the Roman. They called him to them. And he asked him, what did you tell him? He said, listen, if I will tell you, then the Roman general will kill me. But if I won't tell you, you will kill me. So anyway, I'm in the same position. Anyway, I'm going to be killed. So he said, I told him that the general wants to make peace. And he said, call the general in and we'll surrender and we'll make peace with him. Once he heard that, he went to Rabbi Elazar HaMudai. And when he went to him, dear women, he told him, Rabbi Elazar, I didn't hear such a thing, I didn't say such a thing. But he kicked him and he died at that minute. He killed the prophet. At that same moment, there was a voice from heaven, a decree from heaven that said, you killed the right eye of Israel, and you killed the right hand of Israel, and now your right hand, lo alenu, and your right eye, lo alenu, is going to vanish. So a snake came, spit Bar Kochva and killed him and took off his head. Mamash, chanak oto ad shetuk off. They came with the head of Bar Koziva. They came with his head to the general Andrianos, to the Roman general. And the Roman general saw the snake on the body and he said, this is from Hashem. God, the God of the Israelites caused them to fail. And what he did, he had a vineyard. He killed all of them, hundreds of thousands of Jewish people, and he did not let them to be buried. He put them for 20 years around his vineyard. He had a vineyard. He put them around like they were the fence of the one above the other with open hands. And Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel cried to Hashem, prayed, they did ta'anit in order that they can bury them. But for years they couldn't bury them. Eventually, after he went away and there was another Roman person instead of him, he allowed them to bury them. Because of that, on Birkat HaMazon, we say Hatov ve'Hamativ v'gam al hamichya. Because of that, the Sanhedrin decided to say, when they received the permission to bury the children of Israel of Beitar, they gave a permission, they added to Birkat HaMazon Hatov ve'Hamitiv. The Atov, which means the good, and the one who causes good. Good because they did not, when a body is outside, there's a big smell out of it because it's rotten. It becomes rotten. But the bodies, after all those years, did not rot. It's a miracle. So when they came to take them around the vineyard, they saw that the bodies did not rot. They were mamash kmo achshav. So they didn't rot the bodies, and more than that, they did not rot. They said the God that does the good because they had a permission to bury them. So atov shelo irkivu ve'ametiv shenitnu lekvura baruch Hashem. So dear women, all of those things happened on the 15th of Av. Dear women, from the 11th of Av, dear women, we already call this month Menachem Av, which means the comforting Av. The name of this month is called Av, like Father. We call it the comforting because the Kvar Menachem. Why? If you look at the name of God that we concentrate on the month of Av, you remember I told you that the name begins with judgment because it's the name of God of mercy is Yud K Vav K. You see? So it starts from, it's the name for the month of Av starts over here from the ending of the name. So this is the Kuf, which is the Hey, and then comes the Vav. You see it? So this is judgment. The beginning of the month is all judgment, and we know until Tisha B'Av we have customs of mourning, everything. And then, you see, it starts to be merciful because it's in the same Seder, in the same order like it's in the name of mercy. Yud K. You see it over here? Zayud, Yud K. When I write Kuf, I mean Hey, but I cannot write Hey over here, as well I cannot wipe the board. So you can see it becomes Chesed. So we have over here, the first part is Din, and the second part is Chesed. And Yud in numerical value is 10. Look, it's 10. And Hey is 5, which is the 15th of Av. You just see it. Yes, after the 11 it starts already, but the 15th of Av זה ממש חזק. So you see, את רואה יוד K, זה יוד זה 10 ועוד 5, זה חסד ועכשיו זה דין. But look at the din, the judgment. How do we know how many days of judgment do we have on the month of Av? It's beautiful. Just from the name of Hashem. תסתכלו. Please look. We have this Kuf is a Hey. Hey numerical value is 5. Vav is 6. Together it's 11. Okay, so let's start counting, okay? From the day, dear women, that we had the 9 days of Tisha B'Av, and then the 10th day, we have together all of the days that we have of mourning of Tisha B'Av until it comes the 11th day, is exactly 11 days. Look over here, exactly 11 days. So we know that on the month of Av, the 11 days of judgment, and from then on, it's mercy. There was a custom there was a custom, dear women, that from the 15th of Av, which is also, we call it Chag LaHashem, it's a celebration, a holiday for Hashem, because it's a celebration of love. So it's a big celebration for Hashem. So we have a custom to say Ktiva v'chatima tova already, because these are the part of the days until, including of the month of Elul and the 10 days of atonement until the end of Yom Kippurim, dear women. So we can see it. We always say there's a custom that says that we say Ktiva v'chatima. So I'm blessing all of us and all the children of Israel. Bektiva v'chatima tova baruch Hashem. Dear women, Barucha haba. So, dear women, I would like to remind you that these 7 weeks, from this week, we have haftarot of comforting from the book of Yeshayahu, dear women. From the book of Yeshayahu, we have 7 weeks that God tells us, dear children, I'm going to save you, Bezrat Hashem, Bebiat HaMashiach. I will be the salvation of the children of Israel in our times now, Bezrat Hashem. במהרה בימינו אמן.
7 weeks from now until...
כן, עכשיו כבר מהשבת הזאת.
עד יום כיפור?
עד, כן, יש לנו עד יום ראש השנה, לא יום כיפור. Until from the 2 Be'av until Rosh Hashanah, dear women, we have 7 weeks that we read from the prophet Yeshayahu of comforts, dear women. I can tell you, you know what, I would like to give you a story. I had a lot of things to give you today, but I will stop here, but I want to give you a story of the married סיגלית, תקראי להם, תשמעו את הסיפור, listen to the story. There's a story, I want to finish with, just to show you how precious the children of Israel are. It's a true story about soldiers that were together in the army. Listen, כדאי לשמוע. And this story goes like this. There was soldiers that fought together במלחמת Yom Kippurim, in the war of Yom Kippurim. And those soldiers, one of them, after the war, decided to do tshuva and to become religious. So they came to his home, and he was providing, he was giving things on the table, and the first thing that he gave was a watermelon, a vatiach. So he went to the kitchen to bring more things, and all his friends are sitting. One of them says, we have to honor him and we have to bless Hashem, but what do we bless? Over the watermelon. So one says, we need to bless over the tree, Borei Pri Ha'etz. So why? He said, because it grows on a bush. So the other one says, no, מה פתאום Borei Pri Ha'etz? He says, it's not Borei Pri Ha'etz. He says, we need to bless. He says, I know what we need to bless. He says, when I was young, I used to go to my grandfather, and he used to give me chocolate, and he said, Shakol Niya B'Devorah. I know this is a great blessing. Shakol Niya B'Devorah. We need to bless Shakol Niya B'Devorah. He tells everybody. So all his friends listened to him. They did not start blessing the Me'areach. The host came in to bring more things. So they asked him, what do we need to bless over the watermelon? So he says, Borei Pri Adama you need to bless. She says, no, that person who says, Shakol Niya B'Devorah says, no, the blessing is Shakol Niya B'Devorah. So everybody's looking at him and he says, how come you're so sure of yourself? It's that Shakol Niya B'Devorah. He says, listen, I will tell you a story. When the war of Yom Kippurim started, it was a surprise war. So the Egyptians came with their tanks towards the land of Israel. He says, we were in a tank. We were a few tanks from Israel, and there were hundreds of tanks from the Egyptians, and they were surrounding us. And we received an order that we have to, of course, to take them off, all of the Egyptians, all the tanks. Meanwhile, they started shooting on our tanks, lo alenu, and they started to get hurt. So the commander in the tank asked, listen, does anybody over here know something that is religious? And nobody knew any blessing. They didn't know anything except for me, he says. I told him, you know what? Every time when I was a child, I went to my grandfather And he used to give me chocolate, and he told me, listen, you should bless שהכל נהיה בדברו. And I would bless, ברוך אתה השם, אלוקינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. And my grandfather would say amen, and I will eat. It means it's a strong blessing. Okay? The commander in the tank says, this is a strong blessing. This is the only thing that we know. We're going to put, the tank, the missile towards an Egyptian tank, and all of us, when I give the word, we are going to bless Shakol ben Yabidvaro, and we're going to shoot. And all the soldiers in the tank were blessing. Baruch ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, Shakol niyah bidvaro. And they shot and they killed them. And this is how they killed all the tanks, all of the tanks that surrounded them. He said, if this blessing, Shakol niyah bidvaro, could overcome a tank, of course it's the right blessing for the watermelon. I want to show you how naive, and this is true belief in Hashem. Ze tamim tiyeh im Hashem Elokecha. This is from your heart, be with your God. Dear women, I would like to bless all of us בעזרת השם. שיגיע המשיח, תתקדם במהרה בימינו אמן. שיגיע מבשר אליהו, נביא אליהו, תשבי גלד מרב שכם דוד אליהו נביא זכור לטוב. לעולם ייפרד אדם מחבר מדבר לך היחיד ורבים הלכה כרבים. אמן.